Good afternoon, gamers, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Night Roads. We are today joined for the finale of our little series here. I was just so excited after last night's recording that I couldn't wait to go ahead and wrap things up. And speaking of not waiting, I'm not going to dilly dally with any preamble or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and continue since, you know, after a few hours, your car is as good as new. Not only will these repairs reduce the chance of a catastrophic breakdown, they restore your car's value in case you want to resell it. I wait for Riga to reappear and follow her. You start to follow, but from the grim expression on the eagle's face, you know that wherever she's taking you, you might not be coming back. You'll have time for one final feeding, and that's it. December 20th, sunrise is at 7:16 a.m. You return to your estate and park the Lotus. You know you need to be ready. You rise early and make sure your weapons and equipment are ready. You check the security on your sprawling estate, then climb onto the unrenovated bell tower and look out towards Tuscan. No one is watching you. It's like the city is waiting for you to move. Your car's tank is full. You head for your final hunt. As you drive, you consider your future. The Camarilla is the safest bet. What are my chances of successfully joining the Ivory Tower? The Camarilla can be insular and suspicious, but you've earned the respect and Lato's gratitude. Your prospects right now are great if you don't blow it tonight. You have only two remaining questions. First, knowing that the Second Inquisition plans to end kindred presence in Tuscan soon, how determined are you to seek blood? Are you desperate enough to draw their attention, or are you willing to let a hunt slip through your fingers to avoid drawing notice? And second, every feeding always leaves you a little hungry unless you kill. Whatever Riga is leading you to, it's going to be bad. Will you drain someone just to gain that extra edge? I'm not going to let hunters shape my behavior. I feed as I always do, carefully, but with decisiveness. Sure. I'm not going to kill someone for blood. It violates the traditions and my personal code. Maybe you're a monster, but you're a monster bound by certain laws. You don't plan to kill anyone over the next few nights. Well, not for food at least. Once you're sure you're not being tailed, you hit the bars, buying drinks you don't touch. A young woman who's obviously on the prowl approaches you. Call girl or just looking to score? Can't tell, but you buy her a drink, then ask her about her life. Soon you're chatting, inventing stories about your day job, and when there's a lull in the conversation, she asks you back to her place. It's a nice apartment, and it turns out she's a working girl. You slyly negotiate for payment you don't intend to offer, then pull her into your embrace. She doesn't fake her reactions as you move the top off of her, then she cries out in pain and pleasure as you sink your fangs into her throat. You leave her on the bed, dazed and euphoric, her face radiantly pale. You don't pay, of course. Just making sure that my mic is still okay. Riga circles overhead as you drive to Anand Biomedical. Vani is up on the roof with a pair of binoculars watching the eagle. She heads down to her Fiat when she spots your Lotus. She won't take no for an answer, will she? You've been a retainer and a friend through all of this, Vani. Let's finish this together. She smiles, hides her face with her hair, and wipes a tear away. Thank you, Teddy, she says. You saved me from Dr. Call, and you've given me a whole new life. I owe you more than you know. She takes a moment to compose herself, then opens the hatch of her Fiat. It's full of supplies in case you both need to make a run for it. She checks everything one last time, slams the hatch, and says, "Let's go." The Fiat's engine grumbles to life as you head for your Lotus and start following Riga. Vani's lemon yellow car hangs back, following you as you follow the Eagle. The Eagle drifts over high rises and low residential housing, moving generally east. You're way up in Limberlost, near the mall and the Walmart, when Riga settles on the roof of a subway. You reverse into the parking lot in case you need to get out fast and scan the cars at the pumps. It looks quiet. Then you hear a faint ringing. The payphone next to the ice merchandiser is ringing. Vani is waiting in her Fiat across the street outside the mall entrance. The phone continues to ring, and Riga is still watching you. You answer the phone. You're finally here. Teddy. You're finally here. Thank you, Teddy. Listen, you're in terrible danger. It's Prince Littell. The Second Inquisition, the 2100 vial, and wants the 2100 vial, and they'll destroy you to get to it. Where is it? Let's see. Maybe Leto can help me if I tell him the truth. It's in my bloodstream. I, what? The vial cracked when your retainer gave it to me, and the vitae flowed into my bloodstream. I can't get it out. Prince Leto carries on a brief, muffled conversation with someone else, maybe Dove, then says, I can help you, but you're going to have to hurry before it spreads to your nervous system. Follow Riga, and don't worry if you're tailed. We're going to deal with the Second Inquisition, and then we'll get that vitae out of your veins. Look, Teddy. He hangs up. The moment the receiver is back on the hook, the phone rings again. Leto's offer sounds sincere, and his reactions to you have been strangely friendly, perhaps even overfamiliar, possibly due to the echoes of Ayla still in your bloodstream. You've earned the grudging respect of his court. Also earned the grudging respect of his court. Remember, this is your chance to really join the Ivory Tower. Yeah, let's see. I've picked my side, Prince Leto and the Camarilla. I let the phone ring and follow Riga. The phone finally stops ringing. You glance back towards your car, up at Riga, and the eagle takes off, momentarily frozen against the stars before she turns south. Yeah, I'm a good enough liar to waste the Inquisition's time. I call Agent Donati and give her bad intel so hunters are less likely to follow me. You fish out Agent Donati's card out of your shell jacket and call her. She picks up after the third ring. Donati, it's me. There's a long pause. Is she trying to initiate a trace, or is she just surprised? I know where Prince Leto is, you say, and I'm willing to cut a deal. You spend a minute haggling as if you really intend to squeeze money out of the FBI, all the while contemplating the best, most time-wasting lie you can tell. So we are agreed, Agent Donati says. The $30,000 plus the passports. Agreed, you say. You've been on the phone too long. It's time to say your piece and get back on the road. Toe's at the Snapdragon, in one of the back rooms. Another club, one that's also full of kindred, but not connected directly to Leto. It's a convincing lie, and if the Second Inquisition goes there, they'll end up in a protracted fight with the local vampires. Remain where you are, Agent Donati says. Like hell. You drop the receiver on its cradle before you get back in your Lotus to follow Riga. You roll out of the parking lot, still scanning for pursuit. The only thing you can see following you is Vani, and she hangs way back. Riga circles lazily a few times, then heads south down North Oracle Road, a wide, divided highway choked with cars even at this hour. You know where Riga is taking you. Your heart starts to beat again as you drive, a frantic staccato rhythm. When the moon rises over the low buildings to your east, it seems so bright it washes out the headlights of oncoming cars. You feel the desert under your wheels, or some other desert. Ayla is growing stronger, and you know why. Riga is taking you to her tomb. Leto has to know what you did. Wrapped in dark thoughts, you turn off the main street, past a little computer repair store marked with a karambit, until you reach the intersection of North Acuna and West Cala Granilo. Riga settles on a nearby warehouse. You can feel the weight of your own memories as you step out of your Lotus and scan the dark street for the signs of a coming attack. Vani pulls into West Cala Granilo from the other direction and parks in a vacant lot. You can feel a cold trickle of fear. You can perish tonight, you know. You haven't felt that kind of dreadful clarity in a long time, not since the last time you were here, actually. The computer shop is locked up, but there are some odd cars in the lot beneath it. You know cars, but it takes a second to recognize the Hispano Suiza Carmen and the FSO Sereno. The former is a sleek electric throwback in gleaming silver, like something out of a forgotten future. The latter is a tiny black economy car from Poland with about as much horsepower as a riding lawnmower. It's easier to recognize the Mercedes Sprinter transport for Leto's people, and a row of cars for Julian's. Nissan Leaf, NV200 van, Honda Insight, and a black and gold Camaro. The vans and cars are empty, but there's a light on in a nearby warehouse. You know what was in that warehouse 10 years ago. I gesture for Vani to stay back. I don't want her walking into trouble just yet. Just a quick gesture. You hope it's enough to convince Vani not to do anything heroic. Till you need her heroism, that is. Teddy, Prince Leto calls from inside the warehouse. Why don't you come inside and tell me what you did here 10 years ago? The inside has changed. The warehouse shows signs of recent mundane activity, though it's empty once again. Julian sits at the main table. He's wearing a semi-transparent plastic raincoat with neon trim over a t-shirt that says Casa Grande, Arizona, designed like the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo. His expression when you appear is carefully neutral. Your relationship with Julian over the years has certainly been complicated, and you're not sure how he'll react to what you do next. Behind Julian, several retainers and servitors, including Nadia, another retainer you don't know who looks like legal counsel, as well as the helmeted driver of the ROC-Z outside. You listen in on Julian's retainers, but they only call him Z. Leteau stands with his back to Julian, an expression of calculated arrogance staring east, at a blank wall. He glances your way when you enter. It's dangerous to try reading the expressions of an elder, but he seems to like and trust you. The Prince of Tuscan doesn't look like he's dressed to fight. He's in a white linen suit, a Panama hat held in one hand. You recognize a few of Leteau's ghouls from the Viper, but no other kindred, no dove, or the child of the old prince. There are folding chairs for you, Leteau, and Julian. What a situation we've gotten ourselves into, right? Sure. I sit and wait for someone to talk. Maybe we can settle this without anyone getting hurt. You settle onto the folding metal chair. Leteau crosses the room and settles into one of the cheap metal chairs. It's time to settle this, the Prince of Tuscan says. Julian looks more pale than usual, though you're sure he's not hungry. Leteau flashes one of his friendly smiles, leans towards you and says, Julian here still thinks I'm going to bite his head off. He does not entirely believe that I want to settle this with discussion. Yeah, I won't discuss anything from a position of ignorance. First, Julian, you need to tell me what you're planning, in full. In the long run, the Masquerade is doomed, Julian says, speaking quickly and smoothly as if he's recited these words many times in his head, and apparently to people on the radio. He looks to Leteau as if expecting an immediate rebuttal, but the Eagle Prince is silent. The spread of surveillance technology leaves K-Knights with two real options. First, destroy the surveillance panopticon that increasingly surrounds us. This is tantamount to destroying centuries of technological and intellectual progress. I'm not saying it's impossible, but those who would advocate for it need to understand the scope of the apocalypse they're calling for. It would be a year zero event. It would put humanity back to 1493. That's the date that the Camarilla, as it is known tonight, was founded. I don't know how he would feel about that actually, or like this specific. Because he's not power hungry and he does not believe that. I guess the top one. Maybe that's what we need to survive. The masters of the Camarilla have considered that solution again and again, and rejected it, Julian says. But there is another way. The alternative is to reveal the existence of K-Knights in a way that is staged, controlled, and maximized to take advantage of both the disintermediating power of the internet and our own personal power to control minds and shape opinion. I call this alternative the 2100 program, named after the rough date that I expect the program to finish. The Camarilla itself completed the first phase in the 20th century by taking a vibrant and intellectually curious European civilization and turning it into a bunch of sullen, war-scarred navel gazers. Thank you, Leteau. Yeah. I think you overestimate the influence of the kindred on mortal affairs. Mostly just cowards and parasites. Cowards and parasites in the government, but cowards and parasites. I agree with Teddy. Many in the Ivory Tower claim to have shaped civilization, but few have. Julian immediately counters, I will. The second phase requires a kind of program for predicting the behavior of people and organizations over the next century, while simultaneously guiding them. Sounds like two things, Leteau says. Not anymore. An example, when Leteau Kaminsky, private citizen, says, such and such a business is in trouble, no one cares. But what if you say that Professor Kaminsky of the Santa Fe Institute or Governor Kaminsky? Then the world responds. Say there is no future in U.S. manufacturing as President Kaminsky, and that could be the end. I am familiar with post-structural critiques of power and truth, Leteau says. Say something interesting, please. The program is a person, Julian says, or more accurately, a canine whose baseline personality has been affected by three external sources: the consumption of an elder with a unique set of experiences and skills, constant low-level manipulation through mental arts of another canine, and interface with artificial vitae that has been modified to contain huge amounts of relevant data on human society. You planned all of this, didn't you? I'll be impressed if my consumption was, of Ilo was part of Julian's plan. I tried to plan, Julian says with a frustrated laugh. You would not believe how many problems I've had. Your job, Teddy, your purpose, is to shape public perception for the next 3 to 5 decades, slowly revealing a larger world to humanity while keeping individual canites safe. You understand that is what my masters with the second... I tried with the Second Inquisition, right? We tried to shape them into a weapon to wield against our enemies, and then we lost control. And now they've burned through Santa Fe and Dallas, and my favorite nightclub. Yeah, he's got you there, Julian. This plan is going to blow up in your face. Our face, Julian says, then realizing that's not what you want to hear, he says, the Camarilla was motivated by short-term ambition and reacting to an existing threat. We're building something new that stretches across decades, and we're not doing it alone. I'm looking for help because we need it now. But once we have it, Teddy, you can shape humanity for decades to come. How exactly? Prince Leto says. Teddy sees more deeply than you know, Julian says. His powers of supernatural perception can be developed to anticipate people's needs and fears so we can shape them over the century. Oh, now we're back to the top of the... Okay. All I know is that only Nope, actually, I misread that. I kind of expected the Camarilla to just take what they wanted. The traditions are only conveniences and niceties after all. I'm old, Teddy, but not so old I can't believe in things anymore. I wanted to turn my corner of the world into a place where the laws meant something, where the traditions were more than what the elders wanted. I've tried to show mercy, even to you and Julian, despite what you have done and what he wants to do, even now. Prince Leto's gaze drifts away again. Julian licks his lips as if preparing to straight, and indeed, those moments of distraction might be the one chance he has to stop an elder from doing whatever he wants. But you understand why Leto's thoughts keep wandering. It's the beckoning. Something is calling elders to the Middle East. It called Rimmerouse, it would have called Isla, and now the Prince of Tuscan can no longer ignore its call. Finally, Leto returns his attention to you and says, Tell me, Teddy, why did you destroy Isla? Apparently, because Julian manipulated me into doing it. Still, actually, no, because he's mad. He is mad about it. Teddy is mad about it. But, I feel like this is more remorseful. I was young and stupid and wanted power. It still haunts me. Prince Leto sits back, his expression sad but not angry. Julian starts to say something, stops, then finally speaks. You know she was dead, though, right? He says. When we found her, not slumbering or in torpor or destroyed or anything like that. Not any canite condition. Isla was dead, finished, her will to live extinguished. You don't want to believe that because you loved her and she loved you, and shouldn't that have been enough? But it wasn't. Isla had seen too much, and she was waiting to die. She didn't stop us. She could have, but she didn't. She let us kill her. By every law the Camarilla holds sacred, Leto should just rip you both apart right now. Maybe that's what you deserve. But instead, he just sighs and shakes his head, because Julian is speaking the truth. When you found Isla, she was finished. Vampires have immortal life, but not, it seems, immortal will. Sometimes the fire inside just dies and nothing can rekindle it. Excuse me for a moment, y'all. Alright, we're all good. No clue what caused that. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Julian, the Prince of Tuscan finally says, Tell me about the vitae you infected Teddy with. Julian shifts unhappily. Yeah. I want this formula out of my bloodstream before it destroys me. I can remove it, Julian says, if that's what you want. Or you can keep it, what I've given you, and gain powers you can't currently imagine. I mean, if I were you, I'd gain the powers, but, you know. This is a distraction, Prince the Toast says. There's only one real question. What will Teddy do? He turns to face you. It sounds like more than a threat than a question, Prince, the Azamite says. You overestimate my opinion of you. Meaning? I've seen attacks on the Masquerade come and go, Julian. I saw the Sabbat at the height of their power, remember? Running riot through whole cities, embracing people in the streets, dumping them in shallow graves, and letting them run free and starving through New York and L.A. Yet the Masquerade is still intact. You'll fail, too. I'm a little offended, Julian says. Shouldn't you at least try to kill me? At a principle? You can see the fear on Julian's face, but Lefteau's face shows only resignation. Teddy will be best served by rejecting your foolish plan. It's true, Lefteau says. But you're not a threat. I apologize if my assessment of you gives you offense, but I'm not going to kill anyone tonight. Are you? Julian leans back and rubs his jaw. No, he says at last. You see, Lefteau says, we are civilized people here. He tries to smile, then his gaze drifts away, his attention drawn by the beckoning. Yeah. You're sure you can separate the formula from my blood, Julian? I don't want that stuff in me. I'm not. He's just kind of tired of Julian's manipulations in general. I have the equipment that can separate the formula from your bloodstream, Julian says, but you are the ideal candidate for this procedure, Teddy. With the formula mixed in with your blood, you can change the world. You dimly hear a truck rumble past outside. Riga calls from the roof, and everyone's eyes turn to you. I want a position in the Camarilla. Lefteau is right, Julian. Your plan can't succeed, and I don't want the stuff in my veins. Remove the formula. Thought you wanted to help people, Teddy, Julian says, not serve the whims of the Ivory Tower. Together we can fix at least some of what's wrong with the world. What can you do in the Camarilla except help to hide the rot? I've made my decision. I will join the I've made my decision. I'm going to join the Camarilla, Julian. Please, remove the formula. You're no fun, Julian mutters. Lefteau watches the Banu Hakim closely as he places his suitcase on the table and opens it. Neither of you can see what's inside. He recognizes that and turns it around, revealing the biomedical equipment in glass and brushed steel, the same design as the 2100 vial. I'm a man of my word, Lefteau, Julian says, just like you, and I'm not any braver than you either. This isn't worth dying for, but when the world changes in ways you don't understand, one of you had better call me. He extracts a syringe from the case. Teddy, roll up your sleeve. I'm going to need to cycle your vitae out, separate the colloidal suspension, and then return everything to the correct vessel. He clicks a glass vial. This one for my formula and one for you. Try not to go mad with hunger in the 30 seconds that the separation process takes. You roll up your sleeve. It looks like this will get settled without bloodshed tonight. The process involves 2 minutes of machinery and 30 seconds of unpleasant hunger before your vitae cycles back into your veins. Whatever Julian's infected you with is gone now. That's it, Julian says, snapping the case shut. Julian, my good friend, my compadre, it's been real. If you ever influence my thoughts, or put blood in my veins again, I'll turn. Actually, no. I'm not going to threaten him. He doesn't deserve that. Not wholly. He's an ass though. Don't disappear, Julian. If the Masquerade ever comes down for real, we'll need your help and fast. There, begrudging respect from him, even though he's been turning him down the entire game. I hate to say it, Lefteau says, but I too have doubts about the first tradition. I do not want to see you in Tuscan again, Julian, but Teddy does have a point. So, we give you nothing, but we might want something back, Julian says. I love the Ivory Tower. That's when the explosion goes off, blasting you off your feet. I need to get Vani. Is she alright? You dart past Prince Lefteau to the partially open door and quickly spot Vani in her Fiat. She is fine, but a building nearby isn't. One corner of an apartment complex a few blocks away is a crater, and a SWAT team is already inside. Obedient little morons, Leto says. What in the world is that? Julian cries, still nothing but a gray blur underneath the table. The Camaro's driver, Z, is aiming a personal defense weapon at Leto, who doesn't seem to care. Hellfire missile fired by a predator drone, Leto says, but a block away where the Inquisition thought we were. They'll be swarming the building now. I see a mix of FBI, infiltrated 111th Military Intelligence Brigade, and local hunters. No crap? I've been dealing with the hunters for a long time, Julian, the Prince of Tuscan tells the son of Hakim, but you haven't. This is where we say goodbye, Azamite. I want you out of Tuscan before I cleanse this city for the final time. America is becoming the world I remember, the Prince of Tuscan says, his hair red gold in the distant flames of the burning building. The world I grew up in, no laws or accountability, just fear and ignorance and sudden spasms of violence. I think I'm a monster, Teddy, because I find it exciting. Can't linger here anymore. We'll split up. Meet me at 300 East 16th Street. Take at least an hour to shake any tails. Once we're there, we're getting rid of the Second Inquisition in this town for good. The drive is less than 10 minutes, but you know how important it will be to shake any tails. You turn back onto Speedway Boulevard and watch the apartment building as it burns, and then take a left and accelerate smoothly up North Stone Avenue. You don't see any of those Buick Avenires, but you know you're being followed by multiple hunters. They're all over the city now, semi-independent vampire killers drawn in by the Second Inquisition's attacks on high-profile targets, and you know what you need to do. Lure them in, then leave them in the dust so they can't follow you to the meeting site. Wait, there's one, a Volvo. You've seen it before. A hunter, not Second Inquisition affiliated, but still dangerous. You need to shake that tail before you do anything else. He's a few cars back as you wait at the stoplight. Not quite willing to commit to an attack right out in the open, but if he joins up with official at Second Inquisition hunters, it's going to be a problem. My Lotus is faster than the Volvo. I stay calm and outrace him on a straightaway. Let's see if that works. The Volvo follows you for 2 blocks, looking for a chance to strike. The moment you reach one of Tuscan's beautiful 6-lane roads, you slam the accelerator. The hunter doesn't have a chance. His Volvo follows you for maybe 100 feet, then he barely avoids a collision with the Honda Odyssey and skids to a halt. You're not going to see him again tonight. Is that all of them? You think you're done, but then you spot a Jeep Wrangler as you weave through traffic. Floodlights, winch, bullet holes. Another hunter. Oh, goodness. Just got a message that's moderately amusing. Alright. Let's see. Yep, I pull up my Jeep, draw my pistol, and shoot him in the head before he can react. You're sure that the hunter is armed and knows exactly how he plans to destroy you, so you don't waste any time. You rev your Lotus's engine, roll up next to him, and draw your pistol just as he sees what you're doing and pulls a Jericho 941. But you're faster and put a single bullet right between his eyes before he can shoot, and he slumps his way onto the steering wheel. You drive away as the horn blares. You drive through town, eyes peeled. For a few minutes, you think you're clear, but then you spot a Jeep Wrangler as you weave through traffic, floodlights, winch, bullet holes. Another hunter. My goodness. Sure. I'm clever enough to lose the hunter in a maze of alleyways and parking lots I've memorized. You disappear into an alley and the hunter follows, but by then you're going the wrong way down a one-way street that's parallel to the alley he's on. He spots you, but that causes him to hit a dumpster. It's only a 5-mile-per-hour collision, but it startles him and it gives you time to lose him deeper in the city. That hunter won't follow you again tonight. You drive around for a few minutes, but the hunters have all moved on. The streets are quiet, and you're feeling confident until you realize that they're converging on the Viper. I head for the address. Yeah, I head for the address Leto gave me. I really do have a chance to join the Ivory Tower tonight. You drive past the address twice, just to make sure you're not being tailed. Rigo circles over the unglamorous cement building at the end of the gated street. It looks like an old factory across some kind of hangar. The third time you pass, the garage door opens and Carlos signals for you to get inside. You park beside Leto's Serena, but don't have time to examine the other, mostly very nice, automobiles. Carlos opens a door and you step into a sumptuously appointed salon decorated in the Second Empire style. The walls are blood red, the furniture black or brown and trimmed in brass. Leto and Dove are there, along with their retainers, Bridget and the old prince's other child, and a few other kindred you've seen before in the rooftop Elysium of the Viper. Dove steps out of the adjoining garage and nods when she sees you. but she doesn't approach, mostly because she's wiping engine grease off of her hands. Patermaster from St. Basil's is on a couch beside some of his ragged clutter. I'm glad to see he's still okay. Olive Cronin sent some of her people sullen-looking retainers in ice and FBI jackets. Not glad to see they're okay. They're not that tough, but they're ideal for disrupting Second Inquisition operations. Alexander is present, though he's in a wheelchair. Let's go. You love to see it. The old ghoul will heal eventually, but it might take many nights. When you arrive, Prince Leto crosses to stand behind a small and elegant desk and says, "Tonight we hurt the Second Inquisition so badly that they leave for Arizona for good. Tomorrow we begin the reconquest of Santa Fe and Albuquerque and the rebuilding of Dallas, El Paso, and Phoenix." I stay silent. Prince Leto is building up to a big speech, and I should let him have it. We've already been able to use the data Teddy and Diazpan provided us to make the Second Inquisition commit a serious blunder. As of 1 hour ago, a half hour following the unauthorized drone attack on a Tuscan apartment building, Agent Donati has been suspended from active duty. The crowd cheers, but Leto holds up a hand. Silence instantly falls. She doesn't care, and neither does the Second Inquisition. They're operating without formal authority from the FBI or the Pentagon, determined to crush us the way they crushed Flagstaff. The information we gained from Jasper Knowles' cache has revealed all kinds of interesting information, including, for the first time, a complete map of the shadow rooms that Jasper Knowles wove through the entire Viper with his sorcery. We discovered some of them when we blundered into Julian Sims' operation, but we did not previously understand how extensive they were. The sorcery that sustains them appears to be falling apart, but Jasper's can serve our needs one last time. The prince unfurls maps of the Viper. Bonnie studies it, taking in the strange gray lines of the sorcerously veiled rooms and passages. Are we going to unmake the Second Inquisition with sorcery? How exciting. Alas, I'm no sorcerer, and you would need months to understand what Jasper did here. No, I have a simpler plan. It was a crueler age when I was born, Leto says. As a youth, I liked to watch dogs fight bears. I remember one such entertainment, 5 dogs against a single colossal bear. That beast should have won handily, but one dog eluded him by crawling into a corner. The bear kept trying to reach one dog, even as the others tore his guts out. The Second Inquisition is like that bear. When they see a target, they attack, and they don't stop or think. He taps the map of the Viper. How many biting dogs could we fit in these invisible chambers? Then he glances up at the kindred with him. More than enough. We just need one dog that knows how to hide. Leto's eyes turn to you. Yeah, wait, what happened to that dog? It's a funny option. I'm listening. If this gets me a position in the Camarilla, of respecting the Camarilla and keeps the organization intact, it's my best bet. Good, Leto says. Here is the path you will take. He traces it with a finger. You'll end up on the roof, hidden from view, and that will give our people time to move into place. He points out several side entrances that they could take, which will allow them to move through the shadowed rooms. You can see how it works. The Second Inquisition chases you, gets pinned in the stairwell, the glass box above the dance floor, and then the kindred can hit them from every direction at once. Even if Leto's people are outnumbered, it'll be a massacre. And from the faces around you, it doesn't look like you have a choice anymore. Vonnie looks worried. She's going to be walking into a war zone with you. Everyone breaks up into small groups to get ready. You'll head out in waves, scatter around the city, and then move at pre-designated times. You check your Nixon watch. The watch says it's 3:45 a.m. What an interesting time you chose to come to Tuscan, Leto says. He's looking east. Do I need blood? My hunger's fine. I would rather spend time with Dove. Yeah. I want to spend some time alone with Dove. I go find her in the garage. Maybe this is folly, but you're not sure you care. You slip into the garage where Dove is examining a trio of Yamaha motorcycles, nodding with the satisfaction and relaying instructions to her retainers. Her old Chrysler is freshly waxed. It looks like CGI toothpaste from an old commercial, impossibly glossy and green. When Dove sees you, she trails off and the retainers clear out. So, Dove says, what do you want from eternity? Before you can answer, she kisses you. Her face is cold, though you know she's fed recently. Her arms are strong against your waist, but her face is full of fear. One final kiss, then we need to get ready. The angles of her face are strange and unfamiliar, but they possess an alien beauty of their own. Her hair spills around your head as she pulls you close. Her teeth are sharp, but finally, Dove steps away. Her hand, warm, full of vitae, lingers on yours for a moment. But then she lets it drop. The work never ends, she says. There's always another night's work waiting for us, isn't there? Let's get back to Leto. You slip back inside, followed by the Nosferatu. Only Leto is there, issuing final instructions to a single retainer. You'll not be pursued on the way to the Viper, of course. That's good. Lure them in, get inside, and move as I told you to move. I'll see you soon. I like the Dove romance specifically because Teddy here, I'm just going to go off in this rant for like a few seconds and then we'll be done with that. Teddy has spent the entire game, you know, chasing after people in bars and clubs and what have you. But like what he has with Dove, even if it is, you know, partly half of it is him pushing forward to get a higher position in the Camarilla, but the vast majority of it is like a genuine. He thinks he's formed a genuine connection with Dove here, and there's none of the like. I don't know. I don't have the words to put it fast enough. I'm derailing. Let's continue. The Viper is dark. Its parking lot empty except for a few police cruisers, militia vehicles, and those big Buicks. You and Vonnie park facing the Viper. You know the exact route that you're going to take once you draw every last Second Inquisition agent to the Viper, and you're pretty sure you know how to get in without getting sniped or swarmed. Green laser sights glitter in the darkness. The main door is open to allow regular agents quick access in or out, though it's always guarded by at least 2 people. Only a single agent watches the glass VIP door. There are patrols to watch the locked side doors, but you might be able to smash through a lock before they notice you. Looking around, it's clear that the Second Inquisition really doesn't consider you a priority threat. They must know you're coming or that someone is coming, but you see a single sniper on the roof of a nearby building and the minimum number of guards to secure the perimeter. Whatever you do, you can't waste time. You hear sirens all over the city and they're converging on the Viper. I'm starting to think that this is all really dangerous, Vonnie says. But you know she'll follow you in. She heads back to her Fiat. And I'm going to cue the battle music if I can find it in time. Just give me a moment, yo. Here it is. There we go. Alright, let's see what our options are. I'm not doing that again. Alright, let's take the fool's option. I recheck my seatbelt to focus my resolve, then drive right through the glass VIP entrance. It should be easy, if messy. You rev your engine. There's some traffic out front, cop cars moving around. You circle, then line up the straightaway. Then you floor it. You race towards the glass wall, clipping an agent and then blasting inside in a glorious shower of glass that eviscerates at least 2 more guards. You pull the e-brake and skid to a halt just a few feet from the bar. Perfect. You get out and make sure that your car is okay. Your ride might be in trouble. Vonnie runs inside, but she's moving fast, like she's running from something. At first you think it's the agents, but the agents are running too. That's when a black wolf the size of a warhorse crashes through the hole you made with one of the FBI agents in its jaws and another under its paw. The guards inside turn and open fire with their shotguns, but the rounds just bounce off of the wolf's impenetrable flesh. Go, Leto shouts to you, exactly as we planned. Can't do the southern accent and yell at the same time. He bites another guard in half and shakes him back and forth as you run up the steps. You and Vonnie follow the route Leto prepared, staying 1 turn ahead of the shimmering green laser sights the agents have kitted on their rifles. Now that you know they're there, you can see and use invisible rooms and blacked out corners that Jasper Knowles wove all through the Vipers with his sorcery. But there's an entire army behind you. Your eventual goal is to position the hunters on a long, narrow stairwell that leads from the dance floor, past the glass observation room, up to the rooftop Elysium. Then the Camarilla can strike from the shadows on either side. He's here! We need to find him. It's Donati. She's coming your way. She's with, you peek around the corner, 4 FBI agents in full body armor, toting shotguns, axes, and flamethrowers. She's carrying a flamethrower and several flare guns. The big woman keeps moving, but then the soldiers with rifles and Phoenix badges head down the hall. Troops from the infiltrated 111th Military Agency Intelligence Brigade are hunting you. You need to size the initiative and force Donati's people to move the way you want them to move. And you need to do it before you're cornered and caught. Yeah, let's craft a corrosive blood trap to kill a few guards. Ever since your sire almost melted you with their corrosive blood, you've thought about how cool it would be to melt people with your corrosive blood. But finding a suitable ritual has finding a suitable ritual has proven frustrating. You lack Nvidia's experience and raw power, but the most common deadly blood ritual, a Banu Hakim spell that they use to coat their blades with venom, never seems to work right. However, you've recently uncovered a way to combine the Banu Hakim scorpion blood ritual with a common thaumaturgical ward. At least you think you have. You've never actually tried it before. So now it's time to try. You know exactly where to go. One of the VIP rooms has 3 doors, and Alexander used to use it to hurry around on errands. It's the perfect place for you to carve the glyph and run like hell if it doesn't work. The carving proceeds quickly, and soon a sigil in mixed Arabic and Hebrew covers part of the carpeted floor. You coat it in blood and wince as steam boils off the carpet. Did it work? You hear booted feet outside. "He has to be here," a voice says. You duck out of the VIP room a second before the 2 guards kick the door down. You don't see what happens, but you feel a sudden release of sorceress energy and hear screams of agony and fear. It worked. That's at least 2 guards down and a new trick added to your sorceress arsenal. "Ma'am," you hear a voice in an adjoining room. The chiropractor has been sighted outside over the roof." "That's Kaminsky," Agent Donati says. "I'm going to find his little servant, and then we'll deal with him. Prepare the 111th to move onto the roof." "Yes, ma'am." "Almost. You need to distract them for a little longer." You keep going as you plan your next move. When you slip around another corner, you reach an improvised server in AV room and come face to face with a Tuscan police officer set to guard it. She raises her 9mm. Then a bat hits her in the head, opens the cardioid, and feeds. She keeps moving, even as she falls, writhing to the ground. Leteau. This recording and monitoring equipment is new to the Viper. It's a field office for some Inquisition agency, you're not sure which. Screens show the faces of kindred you've seen in Tuscan, or the retainers, plus live footage of guards outside. We did, what's my blood hunger looking? Yeah, let's, finish off the dying cop, taking what blood remains. You grab her bare wrist and drink, pulling on her veins and with your mouth until she gasps and dies. There wasn't much left, but you feel a little better. But you can't stay here for long. You keep moving before you're surrounded. Is there anything I can do with my gun? Yeah, I'll have to be patient to set up an ambush, but I can get in a position and shoot down a few agents. You can't get into a running gun battle, but if you're patient, you might be able to set up an ambush that doesn't turn into a shooting war you can't win. You spend most of the next hour preparing your ambush, looking for a place to strike where you can't get surrounded or overwhelmed. When Donati goes around another corner, 2 of her agents linger for a moment, a mistake and an opportunity. You swing around the corner and open fire. Both agents fall, and you escape before Donati can react. You overhear more shouted orders a few minutes later. Agent Donati is ordering everyone up to the roof. This is it. You have one last role to play. You just need to get the hunters on the stairwell. You head for the stage, overlooking the Viper's dance floor. Donati is below you, surrounded by the elite agents. All of them arguing about where vampires are and how to stop them. They fall silent, one by one, as they notice you. Finally, she looks up. "Get him!" she screams. Perfect. You run. Then you duck as an explosion of fire, and you feel... Oh, goodness. Then you duck an explosion of fire, and you feel your beast writhe in terror. 4 agents with shotguns that spit incendiary ammunition close in. "I'll deal with them," Vonnie says. "Keep going." What? Okay. Vonnie, you're just wondering what she intends to do against 4 Inquisitors when she reaches the sound and lighting station. Vonnie turns on the spotlights and points them right at the agents, temporarily blinding them. That won't last. Vonnie's already ducking behind the stage to avoid their wildly inaccurate fire, but she's bought you a few seconds. You keep moving. You sprint past the glass-walled observation room overlooking the dance floor, past the hallway leading to Leteau's office, past the kindred waiting in the shadows. Agent Donati follows you, and it seems like every hunter in Arizona follows her. You reach the rooftop Elysium as the Camarilla of Tuscan explode into violent action. You hear screams of gunfire, bestial growls, every kind of horror as Prince Leteau leads his people into the wholesale slaughter of the invaders. Up here, among the cacti and desert trees transplanted to the roof, it's peaceful. The sorcery that hid Elysium has started to unravel, so you can see the city clearly. The moon illuminates the rooftops of Tuscan and the distant mountains. You hear a few sirens, but the city doesn't seem like it's at war, because it isn't. The kindred are at war, and they fight from the shadows. Riga circles overhead. Behind you, the gunfire dies down. Is that all it took? Less than a minute to kill 100 trained soldiers and officers? You turn around. A bat flutters up the stairs and transforms into Prince Leteau. His body is cratered with bullet holes, and his white clothes hang in tatters like a shroud. Burns mar the left half of his body, and he forces himself to rise. Leteau is an elder, after all. Agent Donati limps up the steps, riddled with bullets, half her face torn away by claws. As you watch, the wounds start to knit together. You recognize that power. Agent Donati is a ghoul. You little parasite, Donati says, a huge black shadow against the Tuscan skyline. I've hunted creatures like you for America since before there was an America. I followed them from Rome to the New World. I've been in the Inquisition in this country for 100 years, and do you know what I want to do to you, Teddy? I want to put a spike through your brain and strap you to the wall along with all the others. I'd like to feed on you and take your strength so I can keep destroying vampires. Oh, but I'm going to destroy you because you did this. You did all of this. Sure. Okay, let's see. I edge towards Prince Leteau. I don't want him getting hurt. Well, more hurt. You've lost, Donati. So have you. She pulls a flare gun and aims it at Leteau, smiling through bloody teeth. The weapon bursts into flames, crackling before it fires, showering Donati with sparks. Oh boy. I shoot her down faster than she can pull the trigger. Your bullets hit Donati's chest, then her face, then the flare gun itself. The weapon explodes and she screams as chemical fires wash over her. You and Leteau both retreat as, somehow, Donati finds the strength to draw a knife and stumble towards you. But she only takes 3 steps. At last, she sinks to her knees and then collapses. The chemical fires continue to dance over her blackened skeleton in lurid hues of purple and green. I haven't seen a victory like this since I drew breath, Leteau says. He limps down the stairs. The stairwell is choked with dead and dying police, soldiers, agents, and unidentifiable hunters, and the vampires that are feeding on them. A few more corpses litter the almost empty dance floor of the Viper, though the shattered glass walls of the VIP entrance. You see the lights of the municipal police. They're all Carlos's people. They won't be a problem. This place is finished, Leteau says. He's looking east again. Yeah. We need to spend the night helping the wounded, making sure our ghouls have enough vitae that they won't die. Actually, no. Everybody else can tend to that. I need to know Dove is alright. Where's Dove? Cleaning up. He points with a fire-blackened hand towards the cluster of police cruisers. I hope Vonnie is okay, though. I didn't think about that until just now. You head that way and talk to a police officer you saw talking to Carlos earlier in the night, and she directs you to Dove. Her jacket is tattered, but she's not badly hurt. She pulls you into a shadow cast by a moving truck and pulls you close, and then says, "We're not done, Teddy." The rest of the night is spent in evacuation mode. The Second Inquisition might be defeated here in Tuscan, and thanks to the devastating effectiveness of Prince Leteau's plan all across the southwest, but a gang war in a local nightclub will eventually draw in the regular police. The chowder of the old prince work overtime, turning their mental powers and political influence to concealing the evacuation. Dove destroys any evidence of kindred activity in the Viper, while Leteau makes sure everyone has a place to stay when the sun rises. You help wherever you can. You end up back in Leteau's haven, standing in the shower to wash the blood and soot off of your body a few minutes before sunrise. Then you wrap yourself in a silk robe and collapse in the back of the Chrysler with Dove the moment the sun rises. When you awaken the next evening, Dove and Carlos are in the salon watching 5 screens that are all blaring the news from the night before. Botched corruption sting, Dove tells you. That's the cover story we settled on. It'll take weeks to make it stick, but we've done this sort of thing before. She glances back at you and permits herself a rare smile. There's definitely a place for you in the Tuscan Camarilla if you want it. Oh yay, Vonnie's okay. Vonnie has found a cereal and powdered milk in the otherwise empty kitchen and is eating checks from a porcelain bowl with a golden spoon. Where's Prince Leteau? Carlos asks. Leaving, Dove says. Like, for good? You Prince now? For good, Dove says. She sounds tired, though she just rose. And I don't know. They both glance your way, but only for a moment. So the question is, now what? One answer is obvious. You could have a place in the Ivory Tower now. After everything that happened, they need couriers that they can trust, not ragged, independent couriers. A dedicated in-house intelligence and recon force to rebuild the network among the cities and restore the order after the loss of so many elders. And after years of fighting the agencies of the Second Inquisition, there's a place here for you here, with Dove. On the other hand, you could strike out on your own, possibly with the material support of Tuscan's Camarilla. You would have to leave Dove, which would be painful, but maybe things between the two of you should be allowed to end in a way that benefits both of you. From what you hear, Seattle is a key city for the Ivory Tower's blood trade. You could head up north, and if you have enough venture capital, try and strike it rich. Really establish yourself in a way you couldn't here. But many mysteries remain about the alien Vitae Julian infected you with. You know that Julian re-established himself in Denver, returning this year after abandoning his original 2100 program operation there. And you've heard that a scholar of the blood dwells in Denver, someone who could answer a lot of questions, though without the alien in your blood in your Vitae. It might be more difficult. With the briefcase full of Julian's program research, you should be able to make inroads there. The only difficulty will be finding the scholar and avoiding the hunters who suspect you might, what kind of power you carry in your blood. If you if you head for Denver, you'll have to hope that you've left the Masquerade intact enough here that you can reach Colorado without an army of hunters following you. Finally, maybe you could just try to live a life. You're dead, of course, but you could try to existing as a person, if only for a few years. I've heard that San Francisco is a good place for that sort of thing, since the old prince left for LA. Maybe you could cultivate your humanity and try to live, instead of simply trying to exist. I remain with the Tuscan Camarilla and take my place amongst them. The first thing you do is follow Dove and Carlos up to the roof of Prince Lato's haven. You and Vonnie aren't quite sure what's going on until you hear the rumble of an airplane engine. A twin-engine prop plane, a Piper Twin Comanche, rolls down the little used road outside. Its side door opens and Riga flies in. He's really doing it, Dove says. She touches your hand, careful to make sure Carlos can't see. Elders are weird. Can he even make it? Carlos asks. The little plane picks up speed faster than you were expecting and leaps into the air above Tuscan. It circles once, Prince Lato banks and offers you all a brief wave. And then he turns the plane east towards the beckoning. You all watch from the rooftop as he rises into the twilight clouds and disappears. 1 month later. The first week is hard. The Second Inquisition is in ruins across the southwest, but vampires react badly to sudden change. Dove faces two direct challenges in the first few nights from the kindred who come back out of nowhere with dreams of conquering the city, and only your driving skills and her cunning force them back. But then the Camarilla starts to get organized. Dove calls a council with the chowder of the old prince, with D'Espagne, who returns to Tuscan after years in Dallas, and with the other vampires nearby who have seen at least a century of unlife. They form a ruling council to prevent constant struggles for power. You're not nearly old enough to join, of course, but that's good. You're not ready to fossilize yet, and they need a courier. In fact, they need a whole fleet of couriers. I need more people that I can trust, Teddy, not just you, Dove says from the back room of D'Espagne's new jazz club, which is set to open next week. You and the Nosferatu have been lounging comfortably as a band warms up in the other room. You've both been trying to delay this moment where the work can no longer be ignored, but you both have power and influence now. You can't just linger together in the darkness. You sit up a little straighter. What can I do, you ask? Cross the desert. Go anywhere you need to go, from California to Colorado, and look for people who can help us rebuild. Find 5 people who are worthy of joining our ranks. D'Espagne and Patermuster will embrace new chowder, as will I. And if you want, so will you. And be careful. I want you to come back to me. This is a dangerous job and an important one. You spend a week in preparation. You give Vonnie her first stopping point and watch the Fiat roll out first. Then you hop into your Lotus and hit the road. And that, my dear friends, is the end. I thank you for joining me on this. I'll likely be coming back with Vampire the Masquerade, either Parliament of Knives or the 2000 cult classic Bloodlines. One of the two. I'll decide a gajillion years from now. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to miss playing as Teddy, as much of a clown as he is, and I do think he very well may embrace some new kindred. Ciao.